December 25, a lot of the same, but a couple things happened that have been different than previous months. December 25 over December 24 across the 4 markets we cover: St. Louis County, St. Charles County, St. Louis City, and Jefferson County. Across the board, active listings, new listings were down. St. Louis County, active listings down 24% year over year, new listings down 31%. St. Charles County, down 20% active new listings, down 24% new listings. St. Louis City, active listings down 29%. Big number, new listings down 44%. Just not a lot of new properties coming on the market in St. Louis City, but we talk about a couple positive things there still. Jefferson County, active listings down 36%. New listings down 7%. So across the board, we are just not seeing the inventory come on the market. Why isn't inventory coming on the market? Here's the thing. People are staying in their homes longer. We've talked about it. Interest rates still in the low 6s. They're going to have to get in the 4s, which I don't even know if that's going to happen anytime soon. Low 4s gets people that are rate locked starting to sell their homes, because we consistently hear right now, I can't even move with my 2% interest rate because my new house, which may be smaller and less expensive, is actually going to cost more than I'm paying today. So people are stuck in rates. Why they're not moving. Also, why new listings are not coming on the market? Prices are coming down. Although you're going to hear me talk about the prices bumped up December 25 over December 24, keep in mind, those are for the homes that sold. We're not talking about the homes that didn't sell, because if you evaluated those where those prices were, they actually were coming down. So many sellers are looking at the market, seeing what's selling. Prices are going up for those, but seeing what their home may be worth, and it's not what they thought it's worth. It's not what it was worth 6 months ago, and they're electing to not put their home on the market. And also, we know home health care is continuing to expand. With home health care continuing to expand, you are seeing elderly staying in their homes, which is really a great option. Last thing, we are still looking at the rental market, and the rental market for these type of homes is continuing to increase the inventory there, which is either good or bad for the rentals, because many of these landlords that are trying to rent these homes are actually seeing suppressed rents because there's been an increase in inventory. We've talked about it before. If you're in a 2% interest rate, you want to move. It's irresponsible to sell that home. You actually should rent it out. And to rent it out, keep the 2%, 3% interest rate. So with that being said, those are the 4 reasons why people are staying in their homes, or active inventory is just not increasing. Good news though, as I mentioned, prices are increasing for those homes that are being sold. So December 25 over December 24, the median price St. Louis County, it was about a 4% increase. Nothing compared to previous years. So previous years, you saw almost a year over year of almost 13%. St. Charles County, prices went up about 6%, which was actually a nice number for St. Charles County, which we've seen a lot of fluctuations. St. Louis City, good news, up 5% prices. But again, when you compare 24 over 23, that almost increased 10 or 11%. So the increase in prices is actually decreasing at a speed, but those that are selling are still increasing. And then in Jefferson County, prices, again, for sold homes went up 4%. Now, those are all consistent across the board. Active inventory down, new listings down, months of inventory down. Prices, median prices up. Now, here is the one inconsistent place, and we're going to go a little bit deeper on unit sales year over year. St. Louis County sales down 3%. St. Charles County had a massive increase in unit sales, up 17%. And you may say, well, with active inventory down, new listings down, prices up a little. Why? Well, there's a couple reasons. Number one, the median price still is a very attractive entry point. There's an old saying that you buy homes where the other homes end and you just keep moving out west. Well, that's what people are doing. People are looking for value, and St. Charles is adding value. The other thing we're seeing is there's a massive amount of new construction, and there are some values in that new construction. So with all of that combined, just overall value of St. Charles County, especially compared to West St. Louis County, the amount of new construction that they're looking to sell through that inventory, you are seeing a massive increase of 17% in unit sales. St. Louis City, we down 10% in unit sales. And again, this has been a consistent trend. The good news was prices were up for those sellers a little bit that sold. But again, overall, unit sales were down 10%. And then Jefferson County, again, a bump up in unit sales, a bump up of over 13%. Now remember, we were starting at a low baseline in December of 24, so there was a bump up from 24 to 25. But overall, we're seeing some interest, similar to others' interest moving out west to St. Charles County for value. We're seeing interest in moving south to Jefferson County. Lower property taxes. There aren't as many restrictions for HOAs. And there are some value-driven opportunities in newer construction. So that's what we're seeing in there. So again, pretty consistent market except for unit sales in St. Charles County, Jefferson County. Overall, we talked briefly about interest rates. Don't see any massive changes going into 2026. See it very consistent. We're going to see the Fed probably lower interest rates, but remember, Fed is short-term borrowing, whereas mortgage rates are based on the 10-year Treasury note, a little bit longer. So we may see it hit the high fives, mid fives, maybe at the end of next year, who knows? But I don't see them getting into the fours and threes, which is really going to move the supply side part of the market. When I look at the overall real estate market into 2026, I see a lot of the same that we've been talking about. Homes that are priced right, prepared for sale, they're going to see a lot of activity. Because of the weakness in inventory, those are very desirable homes. Many of those are going to be selling over asking, multiple offers, bidding wars. However, the homes that aren't prepared for sale or correlated, they're overpriced, are going to sit. And in many cases, they're going to need more than just one price adjustment for the market to recognize the value. Buyers, there's going to be some opportunities to look at those homes that have been sitting, where the sellers hopefully are going to get more realistic, and you even can buy with some contingencies. You're going to have a plan if you're a buyer or seller in this market in 2026, but if you have the right strategy, the right plan, you will get your home sold, or if you're a buyer, you will buy a home. If you have any questions about buying, selling, investing, don't hesitate to reach out.